Hello, good afternoon. Well, in fine tradition, we bloggers always tend to follow the trend, as they say. Got my umbrella in case I get caught by the rain. Well, I was watching a video again this afternoon from a friend of mine. I'll call him a friend because he was very kind to me over the years, and his name's Christopher Wren, not the famous architect, a different one, the one that lives in Lapu, I think it's called, or something like that anyway, here in the Philippines anyway. And it was a sort of a warts and all conversation regarding his life before he decided to come to the Philippines. So I thought, naturally there's going to be curiosity out there, and I sort of touched on it before when I spoke about my life as an adoptee, someone who never knew my mother. Sadly, she had passed away before I got a chance to locate where she was and get to meet her. But I did get photographs of her, kind photographs from my natural brother, half brother. I'm one of three brothers. Myself, the middle one. Is that right? No. Yes, I'm the middle one. That's right. And I have a younger brother who sadly passed away a few years ago. Sadly missed. His name also was John. And yes, I'm in contact with the family still to this day. Because after all, they're my sister-in-law, my nieces and my nephews. Maybe not as often as I would like to, but I do keep in contact with them, as I do on occasions to those of my older brother, our older brother, I'll call him. My older brother's name is Brian. And just rearrange my hand on the phone. But it's not about my brothers. This is about me. Me, John, often referred to as Norman. Well, my journey started, I suppose, to the idea of the Philippines when I was living in Australia on a 5-hectare, what would you call it, like a hobby farm, that size. It's not that big. After all, it's, 2 hectares is 5 acres, so it was 10, 12 acres, something like that. And I bought that along with a lady. How old was she? Was about 15, 16 years younger than me. We met in my original hometown of Adelaide, South Australia, where we hitched up after my separation and eventual divorce from my wife Jennifer, the one that now lives in London with my 36-year-old son. And he's done well for himself. He's become a chef, a proper one, not a cook. He's done many things like run his own stall selling things in Camden Market. He's got himself quite a good following, being, I suppose, attracted by the fact that he refers to himself as a Kiwi, so with an English father. Sadly, he's decided not to return the calls that I've made numerous times to him, which I'm sure many of you experience in your own lives. is something we, I suppose, regret, but there's not really much we can do about it. When they get older, they make their own choices as to what they believe is the right thing to do, and likewise, the situation between us, I would say, would be estranged. That's a strange word, isn't it? Estranged. Never mind, we'll move on from there. Anyway, yes, her name was Karen. And that can tell you a lot, because it's a very common name for certain kinds of people. And there again, like we all do, we start off with a relationship thinking it's all going to be fine, only to discover a short time down the line it's not quite working out as one did. The idea and dreams of sitting on a little farmlet, hobby farm, which I spent many months, years, creating into a habitable dwelling. It was an old, what you would call a Kentwood house, I think. I'm not sure. It's just really basically almost a transportable home. Not a caravan, but it was about 1,000 square feet. And it was just stuck on a piece of land, and I decided that looks a bit naked sitting there like that amongst $1 million properties around us. So I got busy with the old drop saw and skill saw and hammer and nails and the special screws, and I built a veranda along the front and at the back, and installed quite a nice 8-person spa bath in the back, and it was quite somewhere. Karen liked her drinks. I must admit that didn't quite gel with me, but nevertheless, love is blind, and therefore when things started to fall apart, I realized that some of those things that I should have been looking for or paying attention to probably weren't what was happening at the time. I got to a point where I said enough is enough. I found that we were at each other's throats most of the time, trying to score points, you know what I mean? And we then got to the point where I seriously considered ending it all. Ooh, that's heavy. And especially when I've met people who've almost taken that route themselves. But as tend to think, I've always been one to think, tomorrow is another day. It's just a case of being able to get there that's important. But at the time, and the black hole that one's in at the time, one doesn't really feel very adventurous. You just feel a big black hole ahead of you. And for those that have experienced that, I'm sure you'll understand what I mean. Wow, this will be interesting. We now have to circumvent a lot of water. See if I can get across before the tricycle comes to wash me away. Yes, I managed. He's gone through the water himself. Anyway, marching along as I do, I picked myself up, and I said I'm not going to put up with any more of this rubbish. And whilst I was struggling with work, not so much getting it, but achieving it, I'd always been one of these self-employed get up and go guys. Even if I was sick or near dying, as I might have thought I was, with a crook back now and occasionally, maybe even my knees hurting a bit, I managed to get myself back on my feet. And we put the property up for sale. Initially I was living in the same house as she, and that was difficult, I can tell you. So I've had experience of living in a house with somebody who, in a sense, has not got your interests at heart. And as life went on, fortunately, a young Indian family, yes, an Indian family, decided to grab a bargain when they saw it. Sadly, we did drop the price a little bit, but never mind, it was 50-50. You know how that works, especially after the lawyers have had their teeth into the cross, so to speak. Well, in the end, I got about 165,000 myself. Oh, he's telling a lot. No, I'm being honest with you. But that won't buy you a house these days in Australia. It's barely the deposit. So, with that money, I'd already, living in one end of the house and she in the other, had started talking with a few Filipinas who just seemed to pop up in the one of these, what was it, AsianDating.com. Oh, what a terrible site it was. There's so many people wanting you to send money or to buy them things online. But after sifting through probably a half a dozen or so serious contenders, I found the one. Oh, I thought it was the one anyway. I can say that with confidence now, 10 years down the track. But I'd never been to the Philippines before, and never even considered it as a tourist destination even. Somewhere like Vietnam appealed to me more than maybe Laos or Thailand. I loved Thailand. Every time we went there on a holiday, it was a great experience. But to live there, I hadn't really considered it. I had actually considered going back to Europe, maybe finding a little place in France, or maybe even Portugal. Spain didn't really appeal to me, only as much that there were too many English people there, too many Poms, and actually more and more Russians too. So rather than rush around, excuse the pun, now we've got another lot of water to work our way through, which we should do carefully. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to manage it here. Yes, I think so. So we got through the first big hurdle. Anyway, back to my story, and that is that I, like many of you, fell for the look. I fell for what appeared to be, I suppose, a feeling of vulnerability in the face of the woman I had chosen. I thought that she was looking for the same as what I was. And for a long time, I really did feel I'd found the right one. But like everything in the world, sometimes you can make a wrong decision. You can end up thinking you got the right one, and in the end you discover you've got nothing but a handful of dust. And likewise, you know, many of you have come over here not really knowing much about the Philippines, like I didn't. And we can give all our advice about checking the place out. So why didn't we do it? Because I think maybe we were desperately seeking somebody in our lives. We didn't want to wait any longer. I had just been able to obtain my old age pension. I now had some savings behind me to start again. And as a result, I felt I could give it a go. And I did. I came here, I thought after many months of talking with Jane, I couldn't stand just talking on the phone each night, watching each other fall asleep. It wasn't really for me. I wanted the real thing. So, having done that, made that decision, I then proceeded going through another load of water and mud. I think I might have to go along the side of this concrete to avoid the chance of getting my feet wet. So if you hold on, hopefully, without getting myself impaled, which I have, on some barbed wire, hopefully I might be able to get along the whole way. So just bear with me here a minute. It's a case of balancing. Maybe I might be better on the other side. I'll just do the tightrope bit along the edge to avoid the big puddle just there. So a little bit more. Now I know what's his name, Knievel, something Knievel, on the high tightrope felt like, or feels like. And I still have to carry on a bit further, and I hope there's no snakes that come out and bite me, because the grass around here is fairly long. Whoa! And I've just stepped down into a hole which fortunately didn't have any water in it. Anyway, we're out of the water and we're on the road back again. So anyway, I went down to the flight centre. As I was in there, I got on the phone and told Jane that I was on my way. To her, I suppose, amazement, but also probably a little bit of horror. Oh my God, he's coming. Well, that happened, and that was part of my story to coming here to the Philippines. I suppose for many, you've done the same thing, and you know, getting greeted at the airport, a couple of days in Manila or Clark, only to then finally get yourself distributed to an area where you intend to stay. Hello guys. Exactly. Good having an umbrella, can keep them away. Look what's coming towards me now. That's a bit of country life, isn't it? 3 lovely white cows, and the farmer taking them back home. Baby calf behind mum and dad. That's one thing about living in the countryside, the province. There's so much going on around you. You never know what you're going to come up across. And just like coming and meeting my first Filipina, first one, which I gave my best, one can only say that, and financially I gave her pretty well all of what I had. And some of you have written or put posts which I've had to take down because it takes 2 to tango, and therefore it shouldn't be all laid at the foot of the Filipina. Well, that's my feeling anyway. I'm not sure whether that's better brightness, but it's a bit shaded here anyway. So we built a house on what was inherited land from her sister, and I'm sure you've seen many of my videos that we used to have on this channel if you watched it from the beginning. It's sad that a lot of those have been taken down because they give people an opportunity to see how life was before and now, how life is after. And I would say that we, in general terms, have separated amicably. But what is amicably in the Philippines? With the calm before the storm, maybe? After all, I've always described your little Filipina as your little volcano. And I think it's pretty true to say that most of you will have experienced it in some way, shape or form. And that's really all I can say. But what I can add to that, and that is that when we believe that everything is over, it's never really over, because when you have been with somebody before, you drag along, in a sense, your baggage, your bad baggage and your good baggage. And it makes it hard when you're having a conversation with somebody else in your life now, that you want to tell them a bit about the story. Not so much to talk about the person, but to explain the circumstances that you found yourself into. And of course, that's where the old jealousy comes in. And they always say that don't discuss your former partner, but it's very hard when you're not really talking about your partner. You're talking about 10 years of your life. 10 years where you spent building a home, every day getting up in the crack of dawn, starting up the generator to give you some power so you could carry on early start when it was cool. And also the skills that you were able to adapt and use. Even just showing how you put up a steel framed ceiling support. They're not interested. Now most people would think, oh wow, you're clever. Didn't you do well? None of that happens here, that's for sure. It's somewhat a little bit puzzling why they feel so threatened. After all, you'd think, well, if there's a job like that needing to be done here or amongst their family, why don't they say that I can do it? Give me something to do. And of course they don't see it that way, but that's life for you guys. So it's not quite my whole life story, but it's certainly a little bit about it. And as it seems to be quite trendy to do little exposés on oneself without giving all the secrets away, because I love the Philippines and I have no intention of going and living in England. If the worst came to the worst, and I can't imagine it happening, I think I'd want to go and live in New Zealand. Even though, like everywhere in the world, New Zealand is not the place I remember it as. It's not the place that many people would recognize as God's own, the land of the long white cloud. Well, the long white cloud was there, but the place has completely changed. We can thank our politicians for all of that, in their wiseness and in their greed to join the rest of the world's pig trough. Jobs for them when they leave politics in New Zealand, working for the United Nations or some obscure European government on a nice big fat salary, all expenses paid by the taxpayers of the different countries. But that's life again. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And comment. That's all right, you can comment. And if they're stupid comments, they might not appear very long. But if they're good, thoughtful ones, ones that can help others, that's fine. So it looks like I've managed to get all the way around without the rain coming. So it looks like I won't need my umbrella, which will be good. I can go home now, have a nice cold drink, and everything will be right, as he said. Bye now.